Okay, we're at Highland Hill Farm, and this is Mike Lewis and Michael Hurst, and they're here to tell you about these beautiful Zelkova trees that we have for you today.
How you doing? It's early October. We're digging some Zelkova. This is a variety called Village Green. If you look at the tree, it has a nice vase-shaped form to it. It's a very beautiful, stately tree. We have a nice supply of them here at Highland Hills Farm for you. You can see some of the trees that we're digging right now, how they're being falled. Mikey Hurst will tell you a little bit about how they're dug and how they're cared for after we dig them. Mike?
Alright, sure. First step that we do is we go out and we mark out what trees that we want to dig. And after they're marked out which ones we want to dig, we have the machine come over with the tree spade, and that actually digs out the tree out of the ground. And once the tree is in the spade, the guys put out a wire cage, and inside the wire cage they put the burlap down. And the machine comes over with the tree in it and sets it right inside the cage and inside the burlap, and the spades come out, leaving the tree in the wire cage. From there they tie up the burlap, and they use pins. That's what this is called, not really nails, it's pins. They wrap it correctly, and then they tie the wire cage up with string, and after it's all tied up they go over and they use crimpers on the ground over there to crimp the cages so that the cages are tight and it's good to move.
Okay.
When this tree is planted, everything can go in the ground. You don't need to cut the wire basket off. You don't need to cut the burlap. Everything can be planted just so. The wire will deteriorate after a while, and at some point there was concern about the wires being in the ground with root interference. The roots grow around all other kinds of roots, rocks, any other obstructions in the ground. They just go around them, and it doesn't bother them. The Village Green Zelkova is a very nice tree for you. Again, we said earlier, it has a nice stately vase-shaped appearance. As it gets older, the bark will foliate or flake off. It gives it a nice, attractive look all year long.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill.
We're here at Highland Hill Farm, and these are our large Zelkova trees. As you can see, these are about a 2 to 2.5 inch caliper tree. And every tree that we have in the yard is heeled in stone to make it nice and neat, and also to support the tree while we're waiting to sell it. And all trees are put under a drip water line, as you can see here. We have a drip to every tree in the nursery. We have thousands of trees and shrubs. These Zelkovas are a very fast growing shade tree for along a street or in your yard. One of the nice features of this tree is that it is very easy to maintain. It grows fast and has little work. For example, the leaf is very small, and you usually can just, grind up with a lawnmower. So it makes it easy to maintain. So give us a call at 215-651-8329 for your trees and shrubs. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mike Hurst from Highland Hill Farm, and today I'm going to talk about fall needle drop. The fall needle drop happens to all evergreens, regardless of what kind they are, and usually it's found on the interior part of the tree, such as this right in here. Usually, all evergreens lose about 1/3 of their canopy every year. Most people don't see it because it's happening on the inside part of the tree. It's regardless whether it's hemlock or a holly, a cypress, or an arborvitae, a spruce or any of the Pisceae, they all have this fall needle drop. Usually what happens is, again, it does fall on the inside, and sometimes when we dig it up out of the ground, they experience abnormally more fall needle drop than what they would do if they weren't in the ground. This is due because of the stress they have when they get dug up out of the ground. Since the roots have been cut when we dig them, there's not as many roots in the ground to support the foliage up top, so that the plant does not get as much water as it normally does. Therefore, the plant has to get rid of certain parts of the tree, and that's usually the interior parts. You can look at that and say, oh, it's very bad, my tree's turning brown, but it's actually a good response. It's better than having a part of the tree or a branch die off, or all the lower parts dying off. It's much better than that. When a plant looks at itself and sees which part it can get rid of and which part to keep, the parts that it gets rid of is the interior parts, because it does not get as much sunlight, therefore it does not photosynthesize as much, and it doesn't create as much energy as the parts on the outside. The parts on the outside also are much more important because they are continuously growing, and they're going to be the parts where the new growth comes in for next year. So when you see fall needle drop, it's nothing major. It usually happens right after transplanting, especially in the fall. And you don't be too alarmed by it. It is a natural phenomenon, and that's all evergreens have.
And sometimes it can be quite severe and scare someone. Is correct, Mike?
Yeah.
Like down here, you could look at these trees and say, wow, that's a lot of fall needle loss or drop. And actually, the trees are fine. They will grow through this, and they will fall on the ground and become the mulch for that tree for next year.
That's right.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And you can see over here, here's a holly, and you can see some of the yellowing there, and that's doing the same thing. It's got some needle loss. Nothing to be concerned about.